Breaking news! The Cleveland Browns are on the verge of one of the most unpredictable quarterback situations the franchise has ever seen. And yes, it could be brilliant or chaotic, depending on how things unfold in Week 1. What if I told you the Browns could keep 4 quarterbacks on their final 53-man roster? You heard right. Not 2, not 3, 4. Adam Schefter himself said he expects Cleveland to enter Week 1 with Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, now replaced by Dylan Gabriel and Shador Sanders, all on the roster. At first glance, this may seem like poor roster management, but let's break down what's really going on behind closed doors in Berea. I have a few important things to explain, but first, make sure you've clicked like if you've been a Cleveland Browns fan for over 20 years. It's great to see fans of all ages. If you believe we're going to the Super Bowl, write this, "Go, Browns." Well, let's go. Kevin Stefanski added fuel to the fire by clarifying his comments from the previous day. After initially rejecting the idea of keeping all quarterbacks, he backtracked and said, everything is realistic except keeping 90. Translation, nothing is off the table, and that includes an unorthodox roster structure with multiple quarterbacks. But Stefanski didn't stop there. He refused to name a backup, instead sending a subtle message to the locker room, these spots aren't given, they're earned. That's a powerful signal. No spot is guaranteed. Not for Pickett, not for Gabriel, not even for Shador, who many, myself included, believe has the most potential in the room. Let's break this down positionally. As it stands, Flacco is penciled in as QB1. Kenny Pickett is QB2. Gabriel slides into the 3rd slot, and Shador is 4th. But Browns fans, don't let that 4th fool you. If you watch the joint practices, if you saw what Shador can do with a live pocket collapsing, you know the potential is electric. And Stefanski admitted it, Flacco didn't win the job by default. He earned it. The coaching staff saw something in his leadership and precision in practice. But the Browns are not blind to the future either. Shador's talent, his arm, his vision, his ability to stretch the field and make smart decisions, it's not just good, it's franchise shifting. Now here's the dilemma. You can't keep 4 QBs forever, and certainly not deep into the season. The roster spots are too precious. Players like Julian Okwara, who delivered that monster hit on DTR that led to a pick 6 by KJ Henry, those are difference makers that need room to shine. Gage Larland, who's been lighting up the WR room with impressive preseason reps, deserves a real chance too. Carrying 4 quarterbacks beyond Week 4? That's a risky strategy, and Stefanski knows it. So why the hesitation to make a move now? It's all about value. The Browns traded for Kenny Pickett. They drafted Gabriel in the 3rd round. If they were to shop one of them now, are they going to get anything close to that investment back? Doubtful. Nobody's coughing up a 3rd rounder for Gabriel, and the market for Pickett isn't booming either. It's almost like the front office is trapped in a game of QB musical chairs, and there's one too many players still standing. But there's more drama to come. Shador Sanders is currently nursing an oblique injury. He won't practice Tuesday, and his status for Saturday's preseason matchup against the Rams is still up in the air. That game could be crucial for shaping the final depth chart. Meanwhile, Kenny Pickett finally returned to full 11-on-11 drills, his first real reps in over a month. His hamstring injury may be healing at just the right time. Could this weekend be the first real glimpse of what a Pickett versus Shador showdown looks like on the field? Even Flacco wants reps on Saturday. So yes, the QB battle is far from over, and fans are locked in. Now let's talk about Isaiah Bond. Yes, the wide receiver who, just months ago, was left undrafted due to legal concerns that ultimately didn't result in charges. Bond finally spoke out publicly as an official member of the Cleveland Browns, and Browns fans, his words were powerful. Since day one, I have proclaimed my innocence and I stand here today in that same way. That's a statement of confidence and of redemption. Bond is here to prove himself, and not just off the field. The young receiver emphasized he's not just speed, though his fastest 40 time is a blistering 4.2. He wants to be known as a full route runner, a technician, a weapon across the field. And Browns fans should be excited because the front office did their homework. Bond reportedly passed a polygraph test administered during Cleveland's investigation. Andrew Berry believes in him. The team believes in him. And you better believe there's chemistry brewing between Bond and Jerry Jeudy. Bond looked up to Jeudy, watched his tape, admired his Alabama roots. Now they share a huddle. That's not just a connection. It's a potentially lethal one. Now let me give you something that's already turning heads in the national media. A CBS Sports analyst recently made a bold prediction. This Browns team could win 9 or even 10 games this year. 10 wins. And when you look at the schedule, it's not as crazy as it sounds. Let's go over it. Splitting division games is a realistic baseline. 1 win against the Bengals, 1 against the Ravens, even if they're the strongest team in the AFC this year. The Steelers? We could sweep them. Beyond the AFC North, Winnable games stack up. The Patriots, the Jets, the Raiders, the Bears, the Titans. The Dolphins might be the toughest out-of-division test, but even that game's not impossible. You start tallying the wins, and suddenly 9 doesn't seem like a hot take. It feels realistic, especially if Flacco keeps it steady, the rookies break out, and the defense holds. But just when things seemed like they were heating up for all the right reasons, news broke, literally minutes before recording this report. Denzel Ward went down. The star cornerback suffered a right shoulder injury during one-on-one drills and left practice in pain. No official update yet, but this could be huge. Ward is a shutdown corner. If this turns out to be serious, it could shake up the entire defensive game plan headed into week 1. And just like that, everything's up in the air again. Let's keep this train rolling, because the Cleveland Browns are heading into one of the most fascinating and controversial roster decisions in recent NFL history. And the quarterback drama? That's just the tip of the iceberg. Let's zoom out and look at the broader implications here. If Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry are serious about carrying all 4 quarterbacks into week 1, it's not just a story about depth, it's a story about philosophy. Most NFL teams build their 53-man roster with the assumption that you only need 2 quarterbacks active on game day and maybe keep a third for development. But if Cleveland bucks that trend, it tells us something important. They believe this QB room is too valuable, individually, and collectively, to risk losing a single piece. Joe Flacco isn't just a stopgap. He's a veteran mentor with playoff pedigree. Remember what he did last season? The Browns made the playoffs with him under center after a chaotic year of quarterback injuries and instability. Kenny Pickett is a former first-round pick who, despite his flaws, has shown flashes of smart, composed play. Dylan Gabriel is raw, but drafted in the 3rd round, he represents long-term potential. And Shador Sanders? He's the wild card, the future, the high-ceiling prospect with NFL pedigree and off-the-charts arm talent. To let go of any of them now could be a regret waiting to happen. But the flip side is equally important. Every extra quarterback on the roster is one less special teams gunner, one fewer rotational defensive lineman, one wide receiver or tight end who doesn't get his shot. Players like Julian Okwara and Gage Larland are proving themselves in camp and preseason. They're making game-changing plays. If Cleveland sacrifices guys like them to hoard quarterbacks, they might be playing a dangerous numbers game. Let's not forget either, the Browns' defense was top tier last season. Losing Denzel Ward to a shoulder injury, even for a couple weeks, puts immediate pressure on the secondary. News broke during practice, and although no official word has been released, the mood changed fast in Berea. Ward is a true CB1. If he's sidelined, younger guys will be forced to step up. Martin Emerson Jr., Greg Newsome too, maybe even undrafted corners fighting for roster spots. The margin for error shrinks instantly. Cleveland can't afford to misallocate roster spots when depth is needed across the board. Shifting gears, back to Isaiah Bond. Let's really appreciate what the Browns may have found here. A high-upside receiver with blazing speed and crisp routes who fell through the cracks due to legal issues that never resulted in charges. Bond said himself, "I'm here to play. I've always said I'm innocent." And what's more, he's not trying to lean on his 4.2 speed as a gimmick. He wants to be a complete receiver. You don't hear that often from young guys who come into the league known for pure athleticism. He's got the mindset. He's got the hunger. He's got the respect of his peers, especially Jerry Jeudy, who he admires deeply. Imagine that for a second. Jerry Jeudy